They'd have somebody. I was watching stuff a while back, and heck, Jake the Snake Roberts was a referee.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, he was a referee at one point. Then, like I said, and then Magnum TA. I remember watching him wrestle.
Yeah.
He was Terry Allen. He was like a guy. He was wrestling. Can't remember where he was wrestling out of. It wasn't NWA yet, or maybe even was. And then but then a few years later he comes out, and he was a bigger guy. He'd been working out more, and all of a sudden he was Magnum TA. And I was like, well, that's the same guy who was wrestling just a while ago, before he got to be a name.
And when you mentioned the different, being together, so I remember in the late 90s when Ultimate Warrior came to WCW, and at the time, I liked WCW and I was a Sting fan, and I was like, oh, they're both painted. I wonder if they'll ever face off against each other. Then you look back and it's like they were a tag team. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they were
Blade Runners.
The Blade Runners. Yeah.
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 Blade Runners.
The Ultimate Warrior was the Dingo Warrior.
Yeah.
He was the Dingo Warrior. Yeah. Yeah, I heard Sting talking about that the other day. I was doing an interview with him about how that whole thing went down, and they just never. It was just kind of they didn't really talk anymore after Warrior went up there. I guess they had a falling out or whatever. But it was interesting to hear. But yeah, I mean, I remember watching Sting in the UWF. UWF, like Dr. Death Steve Williams was there, and then eventually what happened was Crockett bought the UWF. I think he must have purchased it from. I wonder if Cowboy Bill Watts owned that UWF. I can't remember who owned UWF. Somebody owned it, but I think it might have been him. Yeah, I think they bought that from him. But that was an interesting time. I remember you could kind of start to see things changing, like and y'all would have been too little to watch at that point when I'm your age now. Yeah, because if I was watching something when I was 10 years old, that means y'all weren't born yet. But I remember watching, like, I'd come home from school and you'd watch the difference in some of these leagues. So I'd watch the AWA at that point was on ESPN. So when I was in seventh grade, in 1980, whatever that was, 7, I'd come home in the afternoon and I watch AWA Championship Wrestling because that's what was on.
Mm-hmm.
The NWA wasn't going to come on till Saturday, the weekend, Saturday and Saturday night and Sunday, and so I was going to watch whatever was on during the week, and I watched AWA, and that was like Nick Bockwinkel.
Oh yeah.
That crew. Kurt Hennig was in the AWA at that point. The Road Warriors would show up there, but like I said, then you see the Road Warriors also somewhere else. But you could see the difference in what they were doing compared to what we were doing down south. It was a different deal. And like I said, you look at the WWF at that point, and just look at how their matches were compared to what we were doing. Down here, and I say we because I'm in the South, so I was like, it was so different, and then you would see a guy show up who was in the NWA and then wind up in the WWF, and it was like a totally different deal. Like I would be like, how is he? I said, it's got to be so weird for him, like going from wrestling in the Crockett, era to go on, like at the same time you're going to go wrestle up in New York, and it just seemed like such a different product, it's just a different deal. Down here, like I guess Vince McMahon famously said to Ted Turner, well, Ted, I'm not in the wrestling business, I'm in the wrestling business or sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it. But like I said, it was just such a difference as to what was going on down here in the South. But you could see, though, I remember, like watching the AWA and watching, world-class championship wrestling, you could start to see those organizations were not going to be around a whole lot longer because you could tell the crowd was not there. Some of their stars were older,
Mm-hmm.
and it was growing fast down here. You could see things start to change, and then obviously World Class Championship Wrestling was really kicking it. And then, they had the sad stuff happen with the Von Erichs and stuff like that. And, things changed. They lost some of their top, talent. And then and then all of a sudden you start to see the other areas grow. And really Crockett's kind of took over, And then, like I said, you like to watch all the videos and the interviews and stuff, they grew so fast. And I think they, it just got to be too much. I think they said they got financial issues, and that's when, Ted Turner came in and bought them. And then Ted Turner took it, and then he he went with it, and then McMahon took it. So it's like, if you really look at it, a lot of territories got gobbled up over time, and then the biggest gobble was when Vince McMahon bought
WCW.
WCW, and WCW at that point, they had taken over a lot of different territories. Things had really, like I said, there were not as many even then, at that point. But I think, like I said, I hope that there is, and like I said, I believe what you're saying as far as there's a resurgence. I mean, I hope that happens, because I've seen, like I said, I've definitely seen some independent leagues come around, and it'd be nice, because I said I think you learn more that way. Kind of on-job training. I think now a lot of kids, they go directly to the training school, and they learn how to do this, and they learn how to do that. I think that it would be, like I said, if you're trying to make a believable product, if you're trying to make something that where people are like, I'm really buying into this, even though they know it's, they know it's a work, but at the same time, you still want to believe in it, right?
Yeah.
I personally, this is just me, like I said, I'm no expert by any stretch, I'm just a fan, but I think that if you went away from the script all the time, I think, when they give them the microphone, here's kind of an idea what you want to talk about, but just the script, a lot of the speeches and stuff are more scripted,
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
Or back in the day, Dusty or Rick would grab the microphone and then they just went,
Exactly.
Road Warriors, they just went with it. Let me tell you something, Tony Schiavone, and then they just blah blah, they just let him have it. But I like that. I think that if you kind of, I think it would, even though it's not real, quote unquote, I think that it would make it more fun if you just kind of say, look, you don't like him, he doesn't like you, and this is the angle you're going with. Now get out there and make the crowd believe you can't stand that son of a gun.
Well, and that's where MJF is getting a lot of popularity, is because he has that freedom. He's one of the few heels that I know about that is a dick when you're signing autographs currently. Like, someone posted a video where a fan puts down like an 8x10 at MJF. He goes, what's this? He goes, I want you to sign that. He goes, you want me to sign that? He goes, great. Let me find a pen. And as the fan looks away, he pushes on the ground. He goes, I don't know what happened to it. And he kept having him do that. So he finally takes it, signs it, and then acts like he's gonna give it to the fan, then throws it on the ground again. And it's just those type of things. People care about the characters. And Roman Reigns was not getting over with what direction Vince McMahon wanted to do. It wasn't until Roman's like, look, man, they're going to boo me. Just make me a heel. and it's working.
Well, that guy, I mean, I saw him throw like 8,000 tables on top of, was it Kevin Owens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And chairs and God knows a car, everything else. I don't know. It's like you hear about everything but the kitchen sink on top of the guy the other day.
Owens is one of my favorites, by the way.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I like that guy. I like him. I like that guy. Yeah, he's kind of got a neat thing going. They got some talented guys there for sure. But now I like something about him. Something about him. I kind of he's something about him's really cool, I think.
The Sami Zayn character is really good right now too.
Absolutely, and I tell you, I've been trying to catch up more on these guys because, like I said, for me, my time dedicated to be able to watch pro wrestling now is pretty much zilch. Unless like I said, I can catch some YouTube or whatever, and every now and then I'll be able to catch a little AEW or something like that, or I'll flip on TV and just see a little bit of Raw or something like that. But like I said, I'm not able to get hooked in like I used to. I just don't have the time to be able to do it anymore. But when I do, I like watching some of the old stuff. But I do realize there are definitely some very talented people today. And back when things get back to hopefully normal again, I want to get back and go see a Raw or a big show and take the kids to it, because I like to. They've been to like I said, some of the smaller promotions, but I like to take them to see a bigger one, to check it out, because those are true shows. Those are big production, which is kind of cool to see. That they do some big stuff.
I will say, because I went to New Japan in January, a live show. I will say they put on a really good show. And they kind of have the in-between feel, like in between like a local wrestling group and like a WWE. But like the wrestlers will hang out after, and you can like take pictures and get autographs because they're hanging out in their room after.
That's cool.
So,
I think that makes it neat for the fans. That's what Ring of Honor. I know when I went to that one show just to go see Kelly that time, they did a good job of doing stuff like that for the fans. I think that's something fans really like that. I think that's cool.
And since you watched AEW, Lance Archer was there, and he's a good heel. I have a picture of him flipping off my camera.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you can do that kind of. The thing is, even with people knowing it's sports entertainment now, you can still do stuff like that as a character, and still get heat from people and get like, that guy's a total jerk or whatever, and it makes you want to see him get trounced in the ring. You can still work that stuff, where you make people think. I think you can make people think, even though people know it's sports entertainment. I think you can still, if you do it the right way, you can almost make it seem like it's also real. It's like, hey, look, we're up here, we're not trying to kill each other. At the same time, I can't stand you. And like we're like, and the people are in the crowd like, man, I wonder if he's really trying to slam him hard tonight, because he didn't really like that guy.
Right.
I think that's the kind of stuff you could get back to, where it would, even though you, like I said, it's not necessarily, I hate saying the word real or fake, because at the end of the day, it is real and it's not fake. But what I'm saying?
They're not really trying to hurt each other.
Right. They're not really trying to hurt each other. And so, but I think you making it where, you're saying, we're not really trying to hurt each other, but I can't stand this guy. So that gives the person in the crowd a little bit like this thought in the back of their head. Well, we know it's not real, but at the same time, man, I think that dude, I think he really knocked the crap out of him that time. I think he can't stand that guy. And I think that's where you get people going, damn, man, these guys might really be fighting now. I think that you could go back that way, and I think you could really kind of win some people over that way, where it ends up being like, this stuff might be real.
Right.
Where it's like, man, the sports entertainment, they're calling it that, but I'll be damned, that guy looks like he was trying to beat the hell out of the other guy. But like I said, and that's the thing. Like I said, the fact that we're still here talking about it shows you it's still very popular, right? So I mean, people love it, and like I said, I mean, hats off to all men and women, every last one who does this stuff, because like I said, it is not easy. And I don't claim to be a pro wrestler, but I will claim that I have been a wrestler on a couple in a couple moments of my life, and I can tell you right now, that stuff is not easy. It is very real.
So, I do have a question for you. So, between the eras that you watched, what's your favorite?
Time frame?
Time frame, like 80s, 90s, or 2000s.
80s by far.
80s?
Yeah. Like I said, now I'll say that with this. In college, I was in college. My college years was 1994 to 1998.